In a remote Texas town, Jason Hopper, an archaeology professor, is hot on the trail of the missing hippies from the 1970s. As he explores the remote mountain terrain, he stumbles upon a cave opening with a cowboy standing still. The cowboy appears like he is suspended in time inside the entrance. He shouts hello to the cowboy, but he receives no response. Going for a closer look, he sees that the cowboy is holding a gun. Sensing danger, Hopper immediately leaves the cave and decides to head back to town. On his way back, he calls one of his teaching assistants, Jackie, and tells her he found the van but no sign of the hippies. He also asks her to put a climbing pack together for him and not let Taylor, his other assistant and Jackie's best friend, know that he's going on an expedition. As Hopper arrives home, he sees Jackie and Taylor waiting for him at his house. He is disappointed that Jackie told Taylor about his planned expedition and immediately tells them he changed his plans and will go look for the missing hippies alone, rejecting Taylor's offer to come with him. The next day, Hopper drives to the research area to continue his search for the missing hippies. On the dashboard of his car is an old photo of a couple with their young daughter. As he returns to the cave entrance, he sees that the suspended cowboy is still there. He walks further inside the cave and encounters a mysterious wall of moisture. Fascinated by this, he continues to walk past the wall. 2 days later, Taylor hurriedly knocks on Jackie's home and asks her to come with him to look for Hopper. Jackie agrees, but doesn't want to hike, sensing danger in them doing so. She suggests asking Kara, a fellow student who has an enormous crush on Taylor, to come with them because her dad has a Jeep. Taylor rejects the idea. However, that doesn't dissuade Jackie and calls Kara using Taylor's phone. Kara is busy helping her sister, Vive, on her school project. Taylor then gives a better option to Kara to help Vive get an A on the project on the condition that Kara brings her dad's 4x4 Jeep. Kara immediately agrees. Inside the car, Taylor explains to Kara and Vive about their weekend adventure. He tells them their mentor, Professor Hopper, has been obsessed in finding the missing hippies from the 1970s. He also mentions that the missing hippies were tripping on shrooms and went looking for the Fountain of Youth, to which they never came home. All of a sudden, Vive is reminded of her friend Furby and that they need to tag him along, to the disappointment of Kara, who describes him as that weird kid with a weird smell. Totally normal name though. As soon as they pick Furby up, he immediately crushes on Jackie, which irritates her. On their way, Furby hands everyone an action camera so they can capture every moment of their adventure. They soon arrive at Hopper's search area and find an old 70s hippie van. Taylor finds an old photo of a family with a note written on the back that says The Hoppers, May 1970. Jackie is surprised Hopper didn't tell them about it, as Taylor arrives at the conclusion that Hopper was not looking for the missing hippies and the Fountain of Youth, but instead he was searching for his missing parents. A few moments later, Furby trips over something and finds a rope on the ground. The group follows the rope, which leads them to a cave. Jackie discovers the end of the rope is severed before a descending steep. Taylor says it can't be Hopper's rope, as the rope is too old. The group then decides to descend further down the cave system. Furby gets left behind as a lookout because of his fear of spiders and crickets. Taylor hands him a radio so they can communicate. Jackie and Vive rappel down the cave descent first. Taylor and Kara soon follow, as Kara notices the same mysterious wall Hopper saw on the cave entrance. In a flashback scene from 2 days ago, Hopper crosses past the mysterious wall and follows the cowboy slowly. He pauses as he hears loud, incomprehensible noises. He then hears a man growling and a girl screaming. He runs back to the cave entrance in fear. Outside, he looks at the sky and notices that despite him entering the cave only a few minutes ago in the morning, it's already nighttime. Hopper hurries back to his car. Rusty and covered by overgrown plants, the car already looks like it had been there for a long time. He looks around and finds an old 4x4 Jeep, the one that looks exactly like Kara's car. He looks inside the Jeep and finds a familiar bag. He immediately recognizes it belongs to Jackie. He calls out her name nervously, but receives no reply. He then decides to go back to the cave with LED flares as he looks for Jackie and Taylor. Back inside the cave, Jackie and Vive investigate further until they hear loud, disembodied voices from a distance. They freak out and ask Taylor and Kara to go back up. Taylor declines but eventually gives in. Jackie volunteers to climb up first, but her rope snaps as she is halfway through, falling down on Taylor, who breaks his hand, while Jackie suffers a leg injury. Taylor, thinking Furby cut the rope intentionally, because that's what people do to their crushes, calls him on the radio. Furby doesn't answer. Kara and Viv also call him on the radio, but he still doesn't answer. The group then argues on how they could climb back up, with Kara being suggested to do it freehand without a rope. Suddenly, they hear a loud, thudding noise. Taylor grabs the radio and calls on Furby again, but still no answer. Viv hears another radio chime as Taylor calls on Furby. Taylor thinks that the other radio Viv heard was Hopper's and calls on him. A distorted voice on the other line answers, "Help me." Taylor asks the other line if he is Hopper. The voice replies he is Furby. The group doesn't believe it's Furby, so Taylor, Viv, and Kara go to investigate. They arrive at a cave tunnel and see a weird, mysterious light dancing above the surface. Kara climbs up and is shocked to see Furby's deceased body on the other side of the rock. She asks Taylor to get Viv to the other room so Viv won't see Furby dead, but the two meet Jackie crawling towards them and they all go back. Taylor also sees the body and asks Viv and Jackie to stay back, but Viv overhears the conversation between Taylor and Kara and uses her camera to see what's going on at the other side of the rock. Eventually, the group finds out that Furby fell down because of a severed rope that resulted in his neck being broken from the fall. Once again, they are puzzled about who cut Furby's rope. Taylor finds that Furby's camera is still recording, and the group decides to watch the recorded footage leading up to Furby's death. The recording reveals that Furby started looking for the group after he received no radio communication from them within half an hour after they descended the cave. Furby also finds a cave, a rope, and a jeep, all pointing to Hopper's expedition. He also finds a journal belonging to Hopper's dad. The journal reveals how Hopper's dad became obsessed in searching for the Fountain of Youth back in the 70s. The journal contained various stories and drawings by Spanish conquistadors trying to find a cave that the natives said contained magical healing waters. It is said that the queen sent these expeditions to find this water and bring back a vial for her dying husband. The journal also reveals that all of those expeditions failed and the last one was held near their town. The footage then reveals that Furby was still waiting for the group until it reached midnight. He then reads the journal again and finds that Hopper's dad started looking for the cave when Hopper's sister fell sick. The footage then shows Furby the next morning venting out his frustrations on camera. The group is confused with how the time flew so fast, believing they had only been inside the cave for an hour. The recording starts again, but this time, it's already Tuesday. Furby says his last goodbyes to his mom and the group before he descends to the cave he found earlier. As he goes down the rope tied to the rock, he sees quick flashing lights in the sky before the rope gets severed and he falls to his death. The group have a desperate and heated argument about how time passed differently between them and at the surface. It seems time is not the only thing that's slow in this cave. It is eventually decided that Kara should climb up the cave tunnel and onto the surface. Viv puts on a camera on Kara, and Taylor gives her a GPS beacon that can send an SOS from anywhere in the world that she can use when she reaches the surface. Kara climbs up the tunnel and reaches the surface. She is surprised to see that it is a very different place compared to the surface they came from. The landscape is so barren, and everything is just made up of rock formations. The air is also very difficult to breathe in. She then proceeds to look for a signal for the GPS beacon as she sees a thick wall of dust that resembles a sandstorm hovering over the horizon. She climbs a hill hoping to find a signal, but instead she sees a gigantic triangular spaceship in the sky. She hurriedly climbs back down the cave. Taylor, Viv, and Jackie don't believe Kara when she tells them what she saw on the surface. With how dense they are, it's no wonder time dilates around them. Kara tells them to watch her camera's footage. Taylor also shows Kara his camera footage, and the group is once again confused with the time difference between the two recordings. Fortunately, sense finally crosses the event horizon of Taylor's brain, who starts to theorize that time is passing differently inside the cave than on the surface. And it wasn't a person who cut the rope when Furby fell, but the friction from years that passed quickly. He further concludes that the flashing light Furby saw before he fell was in fact the sun rising and setting quickly. And because of that, the group may have been inside the cave for weeks or months already. Jackie then adds that if time stops inside the cave, then it means they are inside the Fountain of Youth. While Kara asks to rest for a while, Taylor realizes that Furby was on his side when he fell down and that his radio wasn't smashed, contrary to him lying face down when they found him. Curious, the group watched the remaining footage and found out that he was still alive after he fell and was indeed the one whom Taylor was talking to over the radio before. The recording also reveals that a prehistoric man found Furby and mauled him to death. Kara decides to climb back up the tunnel as Vive notices something on Furby's footage. She finds out that it wasn't just the sun that Furby saw flashing, but in fact were entire seasons passing quickly on the surface. This also explains why everything was very different on the surface when Kara first climbed up. Suddenly, a bright object falls down the cave tunnel. The object then turns into a ladder. Kara climbs up the ladder, but is met with a gigantic humanoid being climbing down. Kara rushes to climb down. The humanoid arrives at the cave surface, but is immediately attacked by a caveman. The two tussle, with a humanoid pinning the caveman to the ground via a futuristic collar chain. The group runs away from the humanoid through a series of cave passages and momentarily loses it. They enter another cave and find a dead woman lying on the ground. Jackie immediately recognizes her as Hopper's mother from the old photos. Taylor also finds Hopper's father dead on the ground a few feet away. They also see a group of cavemen around the body of a dead cowboy. The group tries to escape but is noticed by the cavemen. As the girls run to escape, Taylor is left behind to fight. He is quickly overpowered by the cavemen and passes out. The other three hide from two pursuing cavemen while the other is left to finish Taylor. Sensing they lost the caveman, Kara decides to check on Taylor. She finds his lifeless body on the ground. Suddenly, the humanoid arrives at the scene. Kara, frightened and angry, tries to protect Taylor from the humanoid, but it just walks past them and draws a vial of water from a pool across the room. The humanoid walks out of the cave, but suddenly stops and drags Taylor's lifeless body into the pool of water despite Kara's objection. The cavemen return and attack the humanoid as Taylor comes back to life. The humanoid brawls with the caveman, but is fatally incapacitated when its helmet is removed by a caveman. The fight continues and the outnumbered humanoid wins with Kara's help. Fatally wounded, the humanoid uses his dying breaths to show them several media clips about their disappearance. The videos also indicate that thousands of years have already passed on the surface and that humans have now been living in outer space. After seeing what happened on the surface while they were gone, the group then decides if they would find a way out of the cave or just stay there forever. Taylor sees a backpack and recognizes it is Hopper's. He then decides to look for Hopper and tells the others to go get Furby's body. Taylor also takes the cowboy's pistol. On his way, Taylor finds the LED flares that Hopper dropped on his trail. He then passes through a series of cave paintings depicting various mysterious events in the past. Suddenly, he stumbles upon a cave child and the bodies of cavemen lying dead or injured. The cave child is nursing them by pouring water on their wounds. Taylor walks past through the cavemen and finds Hopper wounded on the ground in front of another time wall. Taylor peeks through the other side of the time trap and sees a legion of conquistadors in battle with the cavemen over control of a waterfall. Hopper tells Taylor that the little girl inside is his sister. Hopper finally found the Fountain of Youth. Jackie asks Taylor to come back. Taylor wants to save Hopper, but Hopper declines, instead telling Taylor to go save the others because he is not going to make it. Taylor returns to the girls, leaving the pistol with Hopper so he can save them some time from the cavemen. Taylor puts Furby's body into the pool as Jackie and the others are also healed from their injuries. Hopper can bugger off, I guess. The group hears gunshots coming from Hopper's location. Hopper is shooting at the newly revived cavemen. The group rushes to escape and uses the humanoid's ladder, but the cavemen catch up with them. Kara, the first one to climb, sees a water portal at the top instead of the outside surface. Kara touches the water and is immediately pulled by alien-like hands. Taylor grabs her as she screams in fear, but a caveman manages to deactivate the ladder and everyone falls. Kara is then pulled up to the water portal and is given a water breather by the alien beings before pulling her up further. Taylor, Vives, and Kara appear to be falling while in suspended animation until 3 futuristic ropes from the portal latch onto them and prevent them from falling. Kara, who by now has been in the portal where time passes 1,000 times quicker than in the cave, reappears from the portal and pulls everyone through the portal. 4 ropes emerge from the portal and pass across the cave tunnels to the bewilderment of the cavemen. A few moments later, Furby wakes up in another pool of water after being retrieved and resurrected by the healing waters. Hopper is also there, who awakens, so does his mom and dad, and his little sister. Taylor, Jackie, Vive, and Kara soon arrive and explain to them that they are currently inside a space station. Hopper, seeing his family alive and reunited, is still obviously dazed and confused. Taylor tells him, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, as the scene pans on their space station hovering above a planet. And that's a wrap for Movie Recap. Thanks for watching.